Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. On last night's episode of Raw, social media influencer and self-proclaimed megastar Logan Paul entered himself into the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, while Finn Balor found his inner demon and brutally demolished Seth Rollins. On today's show, we're going to get into all of that and break it all down. We have a lot to talk about. It's an absolutely stacked show. So joining me to do it, we need a stacked crew. So firstly, let me introduce you to the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be back. It is hot in Southern California. Finally, I remember why I live here. It's summer. Finally. No more clouds, no more rain. Let's get into some wrestling too. We had a wicked Raw last night. We got all kinds of stuff coming up. I'm just hyped to be here. And did you guys hear about CM Punk?
Oh gosh, this is Clark's new thing now. He's trying to create a new CM Punk rumor every minute to get us all excited. But we've got Shard in the comments over on YouTube. Shout out to Shard. And now to introduce the next panelist on the show today, Chaos. How are you, Chaos?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Tuesday, everybody. You know what that means. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Raw. It's been very eventful. I also want to say that I'm glad that Summer's finally slapped Clark in the face after, we've been enduring it over here in the UK with 25 and 30, almost 30 degree weather. I'm not complaining. It's all good. I'd much better rather have this than typical rain and snow that you have in Wales. So, but yeah, it's all good. Let's get straight to it.
I remember when we went to Clark's house a couple of months ago. We all brought shorts and t-shirts, expecting to be warm, and we basically just brought the British weather over with us. But also joining us on the show today, we have Dryzzy. How are you, Dryzzy?
I'm good. What is good, everybody? It's still pretty cool here. We ain't hit summer yet. Knock on
Damn,
wood.
you're taking your time.
Gotta love that old Kentucky weather.
Yeah.
Oh, but we have a lot to get into today, and let's get right into it with what opened Raw last night, and that was Seth Rollins' Open Challenge. And WWE just stopped advertising the segment like an hour or two before the show. It was really weird. They just deleted it off socials, deleted it off WWE.com, but it did happen. Well, kind of. Seth Rollins came out for it, and then Balor took him down from behind just before anybody could come out. It was brilliant. It was a brutal beatdown from Finn Balor. He looked like a real beast. And then after the commercial break, Balor found Rollins again and beat him down again. And this was brilliant. I mean, I know a lot of people hated it because they were excited for the Open Challenge, but it really built the Rollins and Balor feud and made it feel a lot more personal, which is what it should feel like. Finn Balor feels like he's so, bitter right now and so annoyed about it, and that is brilliant. And seeing Balor in this main event position is something which I wanted to see for a long while now, and to be brutally honest, we haven't seen it since their last match in 2016. But Clark, what did you think of the opening to last night's episode of Raw?
I have been begging for this out of Finn Balor for a long time. As the leader of the Judgment Day, he needed to look like the leader, and last night he looked like the leader. To sacrifice an Open Challenge segment that you advertised all week for it, I'm not really sure about. But honestly, I was more stoked about Finn Balor finally looking like the Finn Balor he should look like all along. I mean, this should have happened before the Edge match. We expected it out of the Demon. We got some of it. We didn't get all of it. And the Demon lost. Edge beat him. The Demon lost to Roman Reigns too. Maybe the spear is the Demon's one weakness if he's like Achilles. I don't know. But apparently that's one that he can't quite kick out of. At the same time, I would have loved to see the Open Challenge answered.
Yeah.
It was Cleveland wrestling crowd. Wrestling's big in Cleveland. We had a number of wrestlers that could have answered the bell for that one.
I mean, Johnny Gargano, it's his hometown.
Gargano, Miz, Ziggler, I mean, Ciampa. not that hard, guys. And we could have had an awesome match. I wondered out loud last night if this was we were just worried about Seth somehow getting hurt because of the crowd getting so hot, trying to go so over the top that at the last second they're like, no, 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 we don't want to risk it because we already advertised also him versus Breaker tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I wondered if that was the deal. And it, I mean, from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like it was. I don't know here. From the Seth side, I don't mind it. Well, I know their history, and at least we're telling that story on screen now, which is the way I would prefer it, right? At least there's a reason for Finn Balor to be upset at Seth Rollins, right? They had their match. It's the biggest moment of his career, and he got injured. I mean, remember, he poked him in the shoulder 3 weeks ago. That was the start of this. I loved that. I wanted more of that with Brock and Cody, where there's actually a submission move you could have told that story with, not to harken back to that, but at the same time, I love that. The little things along the way. And I'm excited to see where they go from here and how they build towards a match between just Finn Balor, not the Demon, just Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, but with a strong Finn Balor.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to get that at Money in the Bank, and I am excited for it. I truly, truly am. However, a couple of segments after that initial Balor beatdown, we saw Finn Balor again as he came out with the Judgment Day and cut a promo out on the stage. And this was a common theme throughout the night, actually, where we saw promos cut on the stage with something a little bit different, a little bit fresh, and I did quite like it. Balor's opening to that promo was brilliant. It really, really was. This is the best version of Balor, like you said, Clark, that we've seen in a long while. This is the Balor we want to see. Rhea then jumped into the promo and she cut a great promo of her own. But once again, she kind of built up all the other members' feuds, but not her own, because she kind of doesn't have any at the minute. I'm like, she's looking like an absolute beast with this new World Championship. It looks so good on her. And yet you're not booking her in like a big title feud. What? But we'll get into that later on. And then Damian Priest's promo as well then was great. And it was very convincing in persuading me that it's actually possible that he could win the match, despite the fact that he lost the title opportunity just a couple of weeks ago. And then the second Dominic Mysterio took the mic. Wow, oh wow, the crowd just started booing like crazy. They were already booing them, obviously, they're heels, but it went from like a level 2 to a level 10. It was crazy, the difference. This guy, Dominic Mysterio, he is so hated right now, and it is so, so great. I absolutely love it. They then challenged Cody Rhodes. Dominic challenged Cody Rhodes to a 6-man tag team match later in the night where Cody could pick 2 partners of his choosing, and we'll get into that a little bit later on as well. But Dryzzy, what did you think of this promo where the Judgment Day were all together on the stage, and how do you feel about the Judgment Day as a whole at the minute?
The Judgment Day are the second hottest act in WWE right now, and it's strictly built off of everything that they've done as a whole. From Dominic's, I don't even know, his aura of booze his chorus of booze that he gets, that I feel like needs to be his interest music at this point in time. When he comes out, it needs to be like old school Champion. When he comes out, boo, boo, it needs to be that. I'm one of first name to sign a petition to make that happen. This promo was built up perfectly. It's textbook old school WCW. Remember when the 4 horsemen would all come out to the ramp and Mean Gene would be there? It reminds you of that. And it was built perfectly. Balor, unhinged, just going back and forth, irritated, ready to fight anybody at that moment in time. Rhea, I will agree with you, but it's also because the women's division doesn't really have anybody for her right now.
That's also true.
That is an issue that I don't know when they're going to address it, but Natalia's not it. I'm sure we'll get into that later, though. Damian, strong, steady presence. And then to top it off, the cherry on the Sunday, Dominic Mysterio not even being able to get off a good 10 words. I listened. He got maybe 10 words. That's all you can hear. The rest of it, straight booze. I love it. This is how you build faction promos, especially when you're using a WCW model that nowadays this generation doesn't know anything about.
Yeah. No, that is a great point. And I'm loving the Judgment Day at the minute. I know on the podcast over the past, well, pretty much since we started it, we've been having these debates about the Judgment Day. But in recent weeks, there's no denying how great they have been. And that promo last night was brilliant as well. But Miz came out to host his own open challenge after what happened earlier on in the night where Seth Rollins tried to do his. And Miz basically said that, we're here in Cleveland, my hometown. I was going to answer Seth Rollins' open challenge. So instead, I'm going to show Cleveland what a real winner looks like. And I'm going to do one instead. And then out comes Ciampa. After 9 months apparently being out, he has returned to WWE. He's acting all friendly. He's looking like he's going to go in for a hug with The Miz. The Miz goes for a hug too. And then Ciampa takes him out. We were waiting for it to happen 9 months ago, and it's happened now. Ciampa then faced The Miz, and he looked like an absolute beast, and of course got the victory. Miz got a little bit of offense in. It wasn't quite a squash, but Ciampa comfortably got the win. And it's great. It truly is great to see him back. I'm hoping that for a DIY reunion now, I'm hoping that we get Johnny Gargano back on our screens. I was kind of hoping that he would return to television last night, as he's not injured or anything as far as we know. But it was truly a very, very fun segment here. And I absolutely loved Corey Graves in commentary, how quickly he went on saying, "Oh, Ciampa's back. This is brilliant." To being like, "Ciampa's, he's the Black Heart. Nobody likes him," all this type of stuff. You can't trust him. It was brilliant. This segment, top to bottom, I loved. But Chaos, what did you think about this? And how do you feel about Ciampa returning to Monday Night Raw?
I mean, yeah, it was a nice surprise. I'm happy that Tommaso Ciampa is back. He got his first name back. He got his theme back as well. Yeah, it's just pretty much going back to his old NXT self, which is great. The association with the Miz was weird from the start. But yeah, I'm glad that by the looks of it, I think they just wanted to briefly close that chapter. They gave the excuse that he hasn't spoken to him for the past 9 months, that's it. I'm done with you, kind of thing. So that's hopefully that's dusted them off. I don't want to see no rematch. I don't want to hear any mention of them two. That's all done and dusted. One question I want to know is, like, how does Ciampa keep in shape for 9 months? The guy looks like he hasn't even left. He hasn't left the ring, let alone rehabbing his injury. But yeah, it's glad to see him. I think they will definitely reunite DIY at some point.
I think we've got a bit of an internet issue on Chaos's end there. Hopefully he'll be. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Can you hear me?
I heard him the whole time, to be honest.
He's
I actually
still
think it might have been on your end, Ben.
Oh, no,
right.
it's on my end.
I was hearing him the whole time.
Oh, no.
Oh, fair enough.
Everyone else is moving. For me, just not Chaos.
I'm with you, Chaos. Keep going.
Fair enough. Yeah, if anything, just relate to him if he, and then I'll take over as the host if he cuts out. But anyway, yeah.
No, I got it.
But yeah, it was a nice. It was I think we're definitely going to get the reunion with the DIY at some point. I think they're going to probably merge it with the way somehow. Give us some time. But yeah, great to see Tommaso Ciampa come back. I look forward to seeing what he does next.
I'm going to have to watch that back on replay now to figure out what happened there.
Yeah, Chaos is posting after this, by the way. I'll take over if we have any more troubles.
Fair enough.
But no, I do 100% agree with you there, Chaos. They need to, bring DIY back. They need to bring the way back. They need to merge the two or something like that. It'll be fun to do. But it is great to see Ciampa back. And he's got his first name back too. Now we've got Pierce Kiernan in the comments here. Shout out to Pierce, and he is saying, "I can't wait to meet the Republic at All In." We will be there at All In for sure. But now let's move on to the next topic. And this was something which was quite interesting on last night's episode of Raw. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville had that standard weekly tag team match, which there's not too much to care about, but this time they faced Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, so at least it was a new New match that we haven't seen before in the debut of Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Is it the debut of the month? No, of course it's not. They locked against the tag team champions, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Deville. Not Shayna.
What the hell's wrong?
I completely messed that one up. Shayna Baszler. There we go. Right.
There you go.
You got it.
Botch there, but I finally got it. But what the real talking point about this match wasn't actually the match itself, right? Which Kaden Carter and Katana Chance won quite comfortably, and it was quite enjoyable, but it was very short. But it was actually what happened before the match, because they aired this series of basically like fake TikToks of Chelsea Green, people like in public videoing Chelsea Green and her just going mad at them over different things. And I truly loved those. I know they've been doing this Karen gimmick with her for quite a while now, but I hope they did need to do something to freshen it up. And I think this is certainly it. I hope we see more of these each week, and I hope they find different ways to do it so they don't become old fast, because it really is fun. And it is quite entertaining. But Clark, what did you think about the match? And then, well, more importantly, I guess the TikToks.
Honestly, it was so funny. I watched it with my dad, and you wouldn't think that he would be one to find the TikToks as humorous as us. He's old school wrestling fan. Both of us were dying laughing. I mean, it was golden. I seriously got to give her flowers for that one. It was so creative, so funny. And it's one of those things where if she's going to play that gimmick, they've only hinted at it this far. Now we've got video evidence. That's brilliant storytelling. And that's the part about it that I loved the most. Now you've got her on video. It lands. Yes, you got to suspend disbelief to watch wrestling anyway, right? And you had to suspend some on this one. It didn't look like someone was really scrolling and all of that. But all of the videos were organically filmed. The amount of time that probably went into filming those is, double that it takes to prepare for a match or even a promo segment. Those were legitimate shoots that she had to go on to record and do all of those. And that takes a lot of work. And I appreciated it so much. I loved it. As far as the match was what it was. My dad, I again mentioned that I watched it with him. And he said it best. He goes, well, they had to give Katana and Kaden the win after losing the first time out.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. And then he goes, it's just a shame they're so corny. And I giggled at that one. And it is. Now, both teams in this one, there's a little bit of corniness. There's a little bit of humor. At least on the Chelsea Green Sonya side, there's the humor. And then on the Katana and Kaden side, it's so babyface. So like over the top good guy.
Well, they went heel though, actually, and towards the end.
They did, and that is a possibility, but I don't see that as their future. Yeah. For what this match was, the most memorable part to me was the vignette. I think it would have been great if they'd have gotten Sonya in the vignette. I think Sonya should be involved in that too. Maybe even as an enforcer. The next one, have her be the enforcer that does something about all of the Chelsea complaints. And maybe that's how we build Sonya as the single star. Maybe Sonya's the one who has Chelsea's back in these situations in public. And then we can long-term build a Sonya versus Chelsea match where Sonya turns because, she's the overlooked enforcer. Because we know about her MMA fighting background. I think that's a possibility here, and that's how we get something out of this storyline.
Yeah. Oh, I would. I'd love to see that. I truly would. I mean, the thing is, right, I don't know perhaps how long Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green will be together. As they do, They seem to love giving Sonya Deville tons of new tag team partners basically every other week. But, well, I mean, in fairness, they've been doing this now for a couple of months. But historically speaking, they like to shuffle it a little bit up. I mean, maybe that's why I messed up and said Shayna Deville. Maybe I'm seeing the future. Yeah. And she's going to be in a tag team with Shayna Baszler soon. I'll pretend that's what I meant. But no, I do agree with you, Clark. But now let's move on to another tag team match that happened on last night's episode of Raw, where Indus Shia took on Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander in the match, which was meant to take place a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, during that, Industria took them out before the match. And this was basically Industria's first proper, big, high-profile tag team match, which anybody cared about since they've been called up. And Cedric and Shelton did get some offense in early, and I would have liked it to go a little bit longer, to be honest. But Industria really did look like beasts. They looked brilliant, and the cold, emotionless expression on the face of Jinder Mahal was just excellent. I'm loving these guys. I really do. I do have a feeling they're going to be one of those tag teams where they build them up for a title shot, they lose the title shot, and then they become what the Viking Raiders have become. That's what I fear. But I truly believe that these guys could and maybe should become the next top tag team in WWE. It's a huge hot take, I know. But with Jinder Mahal by their side, they just look so good right now. But Dryzzy, what did you think about this tag team match? I know we've spoken on the show about Industria a couple of times, but do you still think that they could be a big deal in the tag team division?
I want you to think about this for a sec. Last night, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, former tag team champions, got destroyed by Industria.
Yeah.
Like completely destroyed. They didn't even stand a chance. They did that to former champions. Imagine what they're gonna do to everybody else.
Ooh.
Imagine what they're gonna do to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Like this, I know I said it a couple of weeks ago. They are AOP size and AOP style. So it's gonna take a lot to beat them. And I think just having the mind of Jinder Mahal behind you, backing you, and putting the battery in your back, who's stopping that? Like, who is really about to get in the way of that freight train right now? And do you feel like something's missing with them? Like, I feel like they just need something else. Like, you have these two giant monsters. You have Jinder Mahal, who, depending on where we are in the world, is a main eventer.
Definitely depending where you are.
It feels like they just need like some type of main mid-card person. Like it needs to be a faction almost.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't know if if this is where you want to throw like Mustafa Ali, if you want to grab Mansoor, please someone save Mansoor out of Maximum Male Models. Just throw him with that feels, I don't know, it just feels right. Or one of the girls out of NXT. It just feels right. I don't know.
Yeah. Perhaps so.
A fourth makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps they could be, the next big faction in WWE. I mean, I wouldn't have seen that coming, but now you're saying it, I'm like, maybe if they did add a fourth, they could, become a big deal. Who knows? Because I mean, we joke about Jinder Mahal a lot, right? And yeah, okay, he's probably not world championship level, but he's great. He is. I'm sorry, he does get too much hate. He could undoubtedly be a great top single star.
Jinder Mahal beat Randy Orton twice.
Well, and
not by choice though.
Watching last night, my dad was like, "Wait, who's in the suit with these guys?" And I was like, "That's Jinder Mahal." And he goes, "Really? Like the bald guy, like with the different look?" And I was like, "Honestly, with the newer look, maybe we can shake some of the dust that gathered on a guy that is that talented and we know works that hard and cares that much."
Speaking of dust, every match that Jinder Mahal won as champion was via dusty finish. He never won clean. He was terrible.
Pun intended. Thank you, Chaos.
To be fair, that's the same with Roman Reigns. He's not won a match clean.
Hey, Seth Rollins, this first run didn't either.
What are you talking about? We were at Mania. That was as clean as could be.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember any run-ins.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're.
I thought he just spear 1, 2, 3 right in the middle, right? Isn't that how it went?
Oh, but I mean,
was the cameraman you saw that jumped in the ring. That was the cameraman.
That was somebody. The guy with the taped wrist. It was weird.
I do not understand. I thought, right, at the time when Jinder Mahal won the WWE Championship, I wasn't happy about it. And a lot of the reign was a bit cheesy and it wasn't that great. But I'm sorry, I still don't think any of it was Jinder Mahal's fault. I thought he looked like a WWE champion. I thought he had the look and everything. I just thought
He
some of the
might
booking
have.
was bad.
He might have looked like a champion, but he should have built him up to be an actual believer.
It wasn't
He
David Arquette's fault either, but we don't
exactly.
like that.
That's what I'm saying. That was the reason. I wouldn't have minded him being a champion, but it just wasn't. The week prior, the couple weeks prior, he lost to. He got speared or got taken out by Gronkowski, and lost in the pre-show of Mania. It was just not believable, bro. I'm sorry.
There's one thing that would have made it believable. If we would have got that Jinder Mahal Drew McIntyre feud that we deserved.
Yeah,
I guarantee everybody's mind would have changed right then and there.
That would have helped a lot.
I would have loved to see that, and I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot more about industry in the weeks to come. But now, let's talk about the man who we're meant to be talking about. Everybody's meant to be talking about. That's what WWE wants. That's why they brought him into the company, and that man is Logan Paul. And the Logan Paul segment opened with him being on top of a ladder, and the visual was just brilliant. It really was. I was like, every time I turn the screen on and he's on, I don't want to like it, and I end up loving it. But this promo was brilliant. He started it off like a bit of a baby face because, of course, he's in Cleveland, where he's from. And then he just turns heel on them all. It was brilliant. It was probably his best promo in WWE to date so far. He was then interrupted by Ricochet, and they teased that, match, which a lot of people are calling a dream match, which maybe is an exaggeration, but I would love to see it between the two after their encounter at the Royal Rumble. Then Nakamura interrupted Ricochet. And this was my favorite part of the entire Raw. Midway through Nakamura and Ricochet talking, the camera just cuts to Logan Paul drinking a bottle of Prime in the middle of the ring. And it was just brilliant.
I bet, you love your Prime. You should be an ambassador.
You had to rehydrate.
It was just... I don't know if any of you guys have seen the latest season of Black Mirror yet, right? But in the second episode, and this isn't a spoiler, don't worry, there's just one shot where two of the characters are talking, and it's showing an Enterprise van, and it's got nothing to do with it. It's blatantly product placement. But this just reminded me of that so much, and it tickled me. It really did. LA Knight then came and broke down the Forbidden Door and destroyed the brand split. I'm only joking. For Money in the Bank, I'll allow it. And cut a great promo, as you would expect from LA Knight. Then Santos Escobar came out, followed by Butch, and this was all just really, really fun. They then broke out into a 6-man brawl, which resulted in Logan Paul standing tall on top of the ladder. Strangely, Damian Priest was the only one not involved in this segment, but maybe they just thought there was too much Judgment Day on this Raw as it was. I don't know. I mean, personally, to be honest with you, there's never enough Judgment Day, in my opinion. But, Chaos, what did you think about this segment with Logan Paul?
It was great. I was quite curious to find out what was his business being on the show. And then as soon as you saw him on top of the ladder, I was just like, okay, somebody's gonna weasel his way into the Money in the Bank match. I feel like this match is definitely made for him, given the level of matches he's had across the numerous main event level stars. I just can't wait to see him and Ricochet mix it up. I think that's what everyone's really looking forward to see what kind of madness they're gonna be doing, especially on Ricochet's part, because with Money in the Bank matches, you gotta have that crazy high flyer. They've had it all the way since Shelton Benjamin was in the Money in the Bank. So Ricochet's that guy, and he's gonna do some madness on there. The whole breaking down of everyone coming out and doing their stick, it's classic WWE style, but I was here for it. But the best part that was, of course, LA Knight. I mean, I replayed that his part for about 5 times straight. I'm not joking. It was just, I just loved, I'm so happy for him, the way he's being received by the crowd. He got a huge pop, and he completely just burned Logan with the making videos for 14-year-old girls and calling himself a megastar. Loved it. Said he got the map saying that this will direct you to where you can shove those prime bottles. I'm pretty sure that must have hurt you a bit, Ben.
Oh no, I was devastated by the line.
But yeah, like I still hate the fact that people still calling him is Rock and Stone Cold. Like he's not trying to be like them. That's how he talks, and he just carries on so magnificently. It's like the next level up is like it was just great. So he's still my favorite to win, even though Logan Paul could easily be the troll winner. It'll be quite funny to see him actually win Money in the Bank. I don't want it to happen, but as a troll, I would accept it. But yeah, my pick is for LA Knight still to win. I forgot that Damian Priest was in this match because he just didn't come out with them. So I guess to your point, I think maybe it was like Judgment Day was the centerpiece of this whole episode. So I thought they might as well just give it a little bit of a breather. But yeah, I loved it. I love Logan Paul. I can't wait to see him just do some madness. And yeah, it was great all around. I have no complaints.
I'm telling you right now at Chaos, this is what's going to happen in London. We're going to be there, right?
Of course.
Logan Paul's going to win in the opening match. And then later on in the night, he's going to cash in and win the World Heavyweight Championship against Seth Rollins. Because they always do it every year. They do one of the briefcases gets cashed in at Money in the Bank. This is an international show too. So I'm convinced that they're going to do it. And they're not going to do it with the women's again because they've done that pretty much like every year for the last 5 years.
Yeah, so everyone,
I'm convinced that it's going to be Logan Paul winning Money in the Bank, and he's going to win the title off Seth after his match against Finn Balor later on in the night. So Chaos, we might be in attendance for Logan Paul winning the WWE
witness history,
the World Heavyweight Championship. Oh wow, that would certainly be controversial. But now let's move on to another Money in the Bank related match. And this is the final qualifying match for Money in the Bank. And it's in the women's side of things where Raquel Rodriguez took on Trish Stratus. And before the match, Raquel got into a little bit of a thing saying that she wasn't happy with how Rhea Ripley was treated Natalia's match earlier on, which we'll talk about next. And I'd love to see the feud between them. But then Raquel came out for the match against Trish. And it was going fine. It was a decent match, whatever. And then Zoe Stark tried getting involved a little bit. Becky Lynch came out to even the odds. She took out Zoe Stark. Trish rolled to the outside to try and take out Becky. Becky then took out Trish. DQ. Raquel was screwed. Trish Stratus is in Money in the Bank. And yeah, Becky's now got to face both Trish and Zoe Stark in Money in the Bank. So the odds will certainly be against her. But Clark, what did you think about this segment? As I know you're a big Trish Stratus fan.
I'm a huge Trish Stratus fan, but for me, this is way more about Raquel. And if this isn't the reason that she turns heel and just absolutely batters the women's division on Raw, I don't know what is. Because if Ripley's going to continue to get cheered, I know someone who can match her physically, and that's Raquel.
But
no
doubt.
Didn't they? And Becky Lynch obviously was there to even the odds. Well, she didn't even them. She screwed her out of an opportunity at the Money in the Bank. If that isn't what drives her to the brink, to the edge, the powerhouse that Raquel is, we know what her heart looks like in real life, and on screen that's came through enough. It's time for her to start whipping some A double hockey sticks, or A double SS, I guess, not HE. Yeah, whatever. She's whip some ass. She's gonna whip some ass. Open up a can on basically the whole division, and I think that's what needs to happen from here. Trish in the Money in the Bank is awesome. Because historically speaking, the Money in the Bank didn't come about until post Trish's career.
Yeah.
And Trish is one of the reasons that there is a women's Money in the Bank. Trish was, a founding member of the WWE women's division. She's a reason the women's revolution happened, deservedly so, and everything, and deserves her flowers. I love that she's doing it as a heel because she is a classic worker's worker, professional wrestler. Of the highest regard, and I think she'll do awesome in that match. Do I think she's a threat to win the briefcase? Absolutely not. That's the only thing that's a little bit disappointing about it. I don't actually see Trish Stratus winning the briefcase.
Yeah.
But my biggest takeaway is it's time for Raquel to start running through the division, like Goldberg, like Wardlow, like the powerhouse she is.
I would love that. And Shard is in the comments, and he is agreeing with you, saying she was better as a heel when she was in NXT. The only issue is, right, because yes, Rhea Ripley's she's getting babyface reactions, but then at times she also isn't. It is kind of mixed, right, because she was booed last night. So I feel like from WWE's perspective, if they are going to do that feud, which I think they 100% need to do, because she's basically the only one in that women's division other than Becky who could even really feud with her at this point. So I think they certainly need to do Raquel versus Rhea, and I think, unfortunately, it is going to have to be a babyface Raquel for that feud. But now let's move on to Rhea Ripley again. We're going to talk about Rhea Ripley and her match against Natalya. And Natalya came out and she had this rematch. It was an untitled rematch, but still a rematch, and nobody really understood why. It was certainly a little bit of a weird one there. But Natalya came out for the match, and then Rhea just took her out before it. It was brutal. And I'm guessing this will probably mean that Natalya will get another rematch this time for the title, probably in London, because, probably the logic is, Rhea took her out before a match. That means now she gets a title shot. Oh, it just seems a bit lazy. Rhea Ripley is the biggest star in the women's division right now, right? And that's not some big claim that I'm making. Look at social media views. Look at television views. Rhea Ripley is the biggest name draw-wise in their division. That is a fact. And yet they've not got a storyline for her. They've not got a proper storyline for her. It is completely and utterly lazy. I don't like it. It frustrates me because she's looking so good with that new title too. She should be a big deal, right? Because everyone else in the Judgment Day now is feeling like a big deal. And she even feels like a big deal. It's just she's not in any storyline, which is a big deal. Dryzzy, what do you think about all of this? And do you think that perhaps Rhea versus Raquel is the direction?
It is the way we're going. And I agreed earlier when we said that Raquel is going to be turning at the exact same time Rhea is going to be turning. So one thing I've noticed, as we just in this episode that we talked about, there is an overabundance of heels.
Yeah.
We need faces. So whenever Indy Hartwell returns, there's a face. With Candice, most likely they're going to have the tag titles, but that's another face to have. The switch between Rhea and Raquel helps that title a little bit more because now, with all those heels, Rhea's got people to go against. But right now, with Rhea as a heel, it doesn't make sense for her to go up against Trish. It doesn't make any sense for her to go against anybody besides Becky and Raquel. But once that switch happens, it's a whole new ball game, and you got all types of people. You got all types of toys to play with at that point in time. And I'm looking ahead to Money in the Bank. Would you be surprised if the winner, who I'm calling it now is Selena Vega, ends up on Raw cashing in on Rhea?
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Because if you look at that Money in the Bank match, everybody's spoken for. Everybody's got something to do except Selena.
Oh, I'm sold.
That's a great
I'm
call.
sold in it. I really am. Perhaps it will be Zelina Vega winning the women's briefcase in London in just a couple of weeks' time now. But now let's talk about the main event of Monday Night Raw. And Cody Rhodes' two partners, which he chose, were Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And in the backstage interview earlier in the night, Sami accused Kevin of being a rageaholic and basically challenged Owens to go as long as he could in the night without going on a rant. And it lasted one segment, right? Kevin Owens had cold water spilled on him. He managed to stay calm. Then, worst of all, he had to speak to Matt Riddle and still managed to stay calm. However, Imperium just tipped him over the edge. He couldn't deal with them whatsoever. And the match itself, then the main event, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens versus the Judgment Day, it was a very fun main event to Raw. Everybody got their chance to shine. And the crowd were on fire for it too. The crowd were loving it. It was just a feel-good main event for Monday Night Raw. The babyfaces got the victory, which I understand. I mean, considering Judgment Day are in quite a few important feuds right now. I mean, to be honest, I kind of would have liked Balor to get like the pin on Sami Zayn or something, but I guess then you'd have the issue of, okay, well, he's pinned a champion, so then he now needs to find a tag team partner, so probably Damian Priest, to challenge Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and they are already due a rematch as they technically did beat them a few weeks ago, and we still never saw anything come of that. So I guess for the sake of confusion, they just decided, hey, let's just have the faces win for the sake of simplicity. But Chaos, what did you think about the main event match?
First off, I just want to say I'm loving Kevin Owens' work. I think arguably this is probably segments wise, backstage segment wise, it's the most fun I've enjoyed watching him like since he came to the main roster, in my opinion. All that rage stuff and his reactions, especially when he was meeting up with Riddle, he almost flipped his lid, and then when he walked off, Riddle touched him and he was like, yeah, don't touch me, bro. He just walked off. Absolutely loved it. The main event itself was a TV main event. It was cool. Everyone got to see their favorite American Nightmare and the Undisputed Champions. And
who's favorite
Day. Sorry?
I said who's favorite? I'm kidding.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't ask you what you wanted to talk about this week, because we all know it's not.
Sorry, I did not mean to jump in. I'm sorry.
Adrenaline.
I got triggered.
I'm sure you did. But yeah, no, it was fine for what it was. It made Cody Rhodes look strong. I think obviously most likely the Judgment Day will get their win next week. There is one more Raw before Money in the Bank. So I wouldn't really read too much into this one. I don't think it really harmed the Judgment Day taking the loss. But yeah, no, it was cool. Great third act as well. It was very good. It built up very nicely as well. But yeah, it was a nice finish. Good overall, great episode of Raw. I couldn't really fault it really. Very segment heavy, but it was the right amount of segments. The segments warranted they earned their place in the show. But yeah, that's all I can say. Really, the main event was great.
Yeah, no, and it absolutely was. A very fun encounter to this Raw, which I don't know about you guys, but this Raw just felt a lot more stacked than usual. It felt like there was so much because
there's a reason why.
Why?
When it has a through line, it's a breeze. It goes just so fast. It's captivating. It's like one thing's going on, and then all this stuff is happening around it.
Wasn't that people complaining about last week's SmackDown, saying it was a bit too fast paced? Buddha. So
last week's SmackDown was too fast paced, though.
So
that was another level. But I mean, on the show last night, I mean, we didn't even have time to talk about Cody Rhodes' promo, Bronson Reed, Nakamura, Viking Raiders, Alpha Academy, Riddle, Ludwig Kaiser, and we've spoken for like less than 5 minutes for each segment.
I truly think this was
minutes.
The best Raw since Mania.
Oh, wow.
I actually believe it was. It was the most entertaining one I've watched. It made it the easiest to stay up to 11 on the West Coast. I did it this time. I watched it all the way through for the first time in a while. Usually I end up passing out on the couch about 10:30, catching the main event in the morning. That whole taped on the West Coast thing's no fun. But yeah, no, for me, this one was since Mania, the best one that I wasn't at. And the one I was at was only the best one because I was there.
Yeah. I mean, if we weren't there, I think everyone else that was their least favorite.
Exactly.
But we've got Soul in the comments. Shout out, Soul. And that basically, guys, that brings us to the end of our episode. It's been an absolute banger, gentlemen. It's been brilliant having you guys here, and we will be back tomorrow to preview AEW Dynamite and talk Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. Will be, I believe, at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 12 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you check the Instagram story for any updates to that. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're over on Spotify, a cheeky 5 stars and a follow. They do us so much help. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been an honor to have you guys watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your night.
MVP.